Celebration Collective that is affiliated with the Community Civics Honors Class. They have consistently put in their hard work to make this event happen. They held meetings with the League of Women Voters and Mr. McDowell and other guests to construct the plan. And they were able to collaborate with the Round Lake High School's government to construct questions that will be asked in the candidate forum. This group has taken a major lead in planning and involving the community to be part of this candidate forum. Also, a reminder that the school day is going on. As the school day is going on, we will be expecting to hear the bells. So we will be taking a pause, 5 minutes, as they go off. Now, introducing Dr. Jeannie Kirby.
I'm with the League of Women Voters, the Round Lake, Grays Lake, Round Lake, and Waukegan area. The League is a nonpartisan organization that does not support, endorse, or oppose candidates or a political party. Our mission is empowering voters and defending democracy. For decades, the League has been organizing candidate forums at all levels of government and as a service to the public to help them learn about the candidates before voting. We are pleased to have so many of you attending today. I'd also like to just remind you, this is for the Lake County Board District 2 representative on the Lake County Board. Joining us for our co-sponsors for this event, the Round Lake Area Public Library has been a co-sponsor with the League of Women Voters for over 10 years. And they have been very involved with candidate forums and organizing candidate forums with us. Their mission is aligned with ours, giving opportunities for the public to review candidates and hear about what candidates have to say. Another sponsor for this event is Delta Sigma Sorority, the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. They have been in existence for over 110 years, started with 22 women. These women actually sought to create an organization rooted in sisterhood and scholarship, and also service. Today there are over 350,000 initiated members, and they are of course sponsoring this event. They are also a nonpartisan organization and are happy to co-sponsor this event with us. One of the jobs of the League of Women Voters is to introduce the moderator that is selected by the League. To prepare for this event, we actually looked at all of the races within the Round Lake, Grays Lake, Waukegan area to see which one of the races were contested. All the candidates in our area were invited if there was a contested race, and for this candidate forum, both candidates agreed to participate in the candidate forum and signed agreements to participate in this forum. With that, we decided that we wanted to engage Round Lake High School, as we have done in the past for other forums, and have them take a leadership role. So we're very happy. They've done an amazing job, incredibly talented, and I couldn't ask for better partners. One of the things that we do is we actually reach out and pick a League of Women Voter trained moderator. And I'm going to introduce our moderator. She is also a member, she lives in Round Lake Beach, but she is in the County Board District 16. Why that's important is because moderators should have no connection with the candidates that they are moderating for. She has experience in many not-for-profits and various government boards and committees. And with that, I would like to introduce our highly sought after and greatly appreciated moderator for this afternoon, Judy Armstrong.
It is a pleasure to be here at Round Lake High School. I love having students involved in our democratic process. So thank you all for attending. This initiative is so exciting to me because our Round Lake High School has one of the few community civics classes in existence. And within that class, we have this wonderful committee of the Round Lake Celebration Collective that has worked so hard on this particular project. Would everyone involved in either the Round Lake Civics, Honor Civics class or the Round Lake Celebration Collective, stand please. Come on, stand up. You're getting a hit round. Thank you. It's so exciting to me because you guys are our future. With that in mind, I am very, very happy to announce the 2 student moderators that I will be working with today. Both of these moderators, as well as everyone in the Round Lake Celebration Collective, have gone through the exact same moderator training that Jeannie and I have gone through. So they are fully ready to monitor what's going on, to move things along, to say, if needed, time's up. And we've all practiced the authoritative sound. So with that in mind, it is my pleasure to introduce Jocelyn Mata and Alfonso Tinajel.
Political races to participate in the forum were selected by the representative districts for the Round Lake, Grays Lake area. Only contested races were considered in conjunction with the League of Women Voters guidelines for candidate forums. All candidates were contacted through email and phone if available. All candidates participating in today's event have completed a candidate agreement with the timeline allocated. The event today is being recorded. The League claims copyright ownership of any recording or transcript produced of the forum. The forum will be posted in its entirety on the host League website, social media platforms, and the Illinois Voter Guide. Any other use of the forum recording requires the express written approval of the League. Audio and video must be broadcasted unedited and in its entirety expected by media reporting on events. There is no individual taping or filming of the event this evening. The candidates will begin with an opening statement in alphabetical order. They will alternate the order in which they answer questions. The candidate to answer the first question was selected at random at the start of the forum. They will then alternate the order in which they answer all subsequent questions.
After the question portion of the forum, each candidate will give a closing statement in the alternate order of the opening. Each candidate will be given 1.5 minutes for their opening statements, 1.5 minutes to respond to each question, and 1.5 minutes to make a closing statement. Their responses will be timed, and the timer will give a 30-second warning. The questions for today were submitted by the government classes at Round Lake High School and have been screened for appropriateness for the office and to avoid duplication by a committee following the LWV guidelines. We will also consider the questions submitted today. Regrettably, there may not be enough time tonight to ask all questions that have been submitted. The format for today's forum is not a debate format. There is no time for rebuttal during these proceedings. Candidates are expected to accurately represent the facts. The League of Women Voters is not responsible for the accuracy of statements made by candidates. It is the responsibility of the public, news media, opposing candidates, etc., to fact all check statements made by candidates if deemed necessary. Finally, I want to emphasize how grateful we are for the candidates who are not only willing to serve in office, but who agreed to participate in this evening. We will be covering this evening's candidate forum for the Lake County Board Illinois 2nd District. I would like to introduce the candidates for Lake County Board District 2, candidate Hilary, Winiarz, and candidate Adam Schlick. Thank you for attending this afternoon. We will begin with opening statements. The first candidate for opening statements is Adam Schlick.
Thank you, and thank you for that warm introduction. And I see my time guy here, so that's who I got to keep my eyes on. First, I want to start off by thanking the League of Women Voters and Round Lake High School for putting on this event. This is the first time I've been able to do an event like this. It seems like we've lived on Zoom for about the past 4 years, so this is great to see. So I'll start off my opening statement by just introducing myself. So I am Adam Schlick. I am the current representative on the Lake County Board for District 2. I was elected 2 years ago when the district was drawn. It was a new district, so it was a brand new district that I was able to come in and take without an incumbent in there prior to that. So before serving on the Lake County Board, I served 6 years as a trustee for the Village of Wakanda. Before that, I was 4 years as a Park District Commissioner in Wakanda, serving 2 years as president. So I bring to the table a lot of experience in the government sector. Now, Outside of my elected service, I also have a full-time job because the county board really is only a part-time job. So my full-time job is I'm the battalion chief for the Wakanda Fire Protection District. To kind of sum it up, I'm the guy that drives around the Suburban, so I don't get to ride around the cool fire trucks anymore. But it is still fun. So I got involved with politics because I want to make a difference in my community. I just saw that this was an opportunity to further my involvement. As I got further along in my fire district career, couldn't do it as much physically, so now I can do a little bit more with my brain and the knowledge that I brought. So serving on the Lake County Board has been a great experience. For those of you who don't know, Lake County is about a $700 million budget, so it's a very large organization that touches everyone's lives in some form or fashion, whether it be the health department, the Division of Transportation, or even Public Works. It touches everyone's lives in some form or fashion. It's quite an apparatus to get moving, and it takes a lot of responsibility and a lot of work.
Thank you, Mr. Schlick. Next, Hilary Winiarz for her opening statement.
Okay, this thing's on. Thank you very much to the League of Women Voters and Round Lake High School, the Community Civics Honors Class, and the Celebration Collective. This is very cool here at Round Lake High School. I wish this had been available for my son at his high school because he's very civic-minded as well. I'm grateful to all of you, especially Judy Armstrong, Alfonso Tinajero, and Jocelyn Mata for hosting Adam and myself. My name is Hilary Winiarz, and I'm running for Lake County Board here in District 2. That covers all of Wakanda, and then parts of Hawthorne Woods where I am from. Right here in Round Lake Park, Mundelein, and Lake Zurich. I'm a writer and a change manager and a product manager for a large business services company. I've lived in Lake County most of my life, having grown up in Deerfield. I'm married, and our son, as I mentioned, is a sophomore at American University in Washington, D.C., studying political science himself. I'm so excited to be running for the Lake County Board because I want to make a real difference in helping people achieve the very highest quality of life here in Lake County. I want clean, equitable Lake County that's prepared for our changing climate, for my son and his friends and our neighbors and all of you, the people who live here in Lake County. I want our veterans to be able to find housing here where they call home. I want our seniors to be able to keep living here when they retire. I want self-employed people and remote workers to be able to achieve health care. And the only way to do this is to listen to the people and understand them and represent them at the county.
Thank you for that statement. Let's give a round of applause for both. Okay, now the fun begins. It's time for some questions. We're going to start first with one of the student questions. Please explain the position on the Lake County your position on the Lake County tax increase for the forest preserves.
Forest preserves, that's always fun.
Yep, and but I want everybody to know we determined by lotto earlier who would answer the question first. And so candidate Willits is going to answer first. Then we will have the same question responded to by candidate Schlick. And I think just for your edification, students, the difference between a forum and a debate, in a forum, the candidate answers the question. In a debate, there can be a rebuttal. In this case, it will only be the answers to the questions, first by one candidate and then by the other. So with that, please, I'll read the question again.
Okay.
Please explain your position on the Lake County tax increase for the forest preserves.
Okay, forest preserve referendum is a measure that will be on the ballot this year, and it will be voted on by the people. And if it doesn't go through, there's not going to be a tax. It's not an increase so much as an addendum, an additional tax. The forest preserves, several boards ago, and this is history that I don't think either one of us have. It predates us. But there was another referendum that was voted on, and some monies were collected as part of a referendum for capital projects, and lots of work started to be done for that. That's the condensed version. And they ran out of money sometime later, and that's why when you go to Lakewood Forest Preserve, there's lots of things that seem undone because they are undone. So there's an operating budget to keep things going, maintenance, and all pay people. But when it comes to the capital projects and finishing some things that got started, and some other cleanup efforts, maintenance, bringing things up to code, a lot of that just kept getting pushed because there wasn't enough money, and that's why there's a referendum on the ballot. I support the referendum. It's about $33 on the tax bill per family, depending, give or take a few dollars, depending on I believe, the value of your home. And I support that. Our forest preserves are a national treasure for us, and if it doesn't go through, then people have spoken. It will be part of my job to figure out, okay?
Thank you.
What are we going to do?
Thank you. I'll read the question again.
Thank you.
Please explain your position on the Lake County tax increase for the forest preserves.
All right, so as the incumbent, I was on the board that decided to put this referendum on the ballot. And when we started looking at it, it was about 20 years ago that the Forest Service went to a referendum to get bonds issued. Bonds are what we take out as a loan. They last about 20 years, so the last set of bonds have expired. So that gives us the authority to ask for more bonds. So what we looked at a lot of different options on how to figure out what was the proper dollar amount and what was going to meet what we needed and what we wanted to do in the future. So we landed on $155 million, which I know sounds like an astronomical lot of money. But you have to remember we have about 31,000 acres of forest reserve in the country. And all of it takes a lot of upkeep and a lot of maintenance. And there's also opportunities that we can add to those forest reserves. So we wanted to make sure we had some money. So about $90 million of that money is going to be allocated to currently right-sizing some of our infrastructure, mitigating some of our forest reserves to make sure we're really meeting the needs in conservation and what we're intended to do. And then the rest of it's going to be allocated to try to acquire new property, which I think if you talk to anybody in Lake County, they'll tell you one of the shining examples of Lake County and the quality of life here is our forest preserves. So I look forward to the opportunity. It's a little difficult as a sitting board member to endorse or speak out against a referendum, just because I can feel like I'm putting my thumb on it. But I do feel like we were very prepared, we were very measured by how much we asked for, and I know the staff that if that referendum passes, it will be handled in a professional manner, and every dollar will be allocated properly. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schlick. So now we do rotate. So since candidate Winiarz went first, we will now have candidate Schlick answer the second question, which is what guidelines would you use to determine the use, relocation, or future purchases of Lake County Forest Preserve property?
Thank you. Excellent question. So I think we get in a little bit of a trick bag when we start talking about selling or repurposing forest preserve land. We acquired this land under the idea that it's conservation, right? And I think for me, it's a real hard stop when we start talking about repurposing that land for another use outside of conservation. I do think we can do a little bit better job of having more active preserves, having more activity-based activities in our preserves. I think that is something that we should work on, and we've kind of lost over the years. We've went more to passive. So I would like to see, if anything, to repurpose more towards activity. But I'm not really in the business of wanting to sell off any forest preserve land. I know there's a talk of a Waukegan airport expansion. It's been something the board entertained. At this moment, I don't think it's the best thing for the Forest Preserve District, and I wouldn't support selling any Forest Preserve land.
Thank you, candidate Schlick. Ms. Winiarz, the question was, what guidelines would you use to determine the use, relocation, or future purchases of Lake County Forest Preserve property?
So the forest preserves, as both of us have said, really are a shining gem for Lake County, and they are fundamental to many people's existence. When it comes to forest preserves, many people don't have large backyards, many people don't have houses, they live in apartments, they live in condominiums. When they want to have family, a barbecue, a gathering, they go to the forest preserves, and sometimes they even do it in the cold. So our forest preserves are paramount. As for acquiring land, the budget is already something that we are really careful about spending money with. And that's why there's a referendum, right? To make sure that we're spending capital projects, capital expenditures, purchasing, building more land acquiring more land that we don't already own. As far as forest preserves, that is something that I don't want to burden our budget with, but I'm not against it. It really would depend on what it was. Adam mentioned the airport, so I'd like to just say that I'm really glad that the Port Authority, and if you're not sure what's going on with the Waukegan Airport, they basically want to purchase 52 acres of our forest preserves in order to extend the runway. I conceptually think that there are valid arguments on both sides of that. We're quite a ways off. We need to do an environmental study. The current one we have is too old. We need a new one. The Waukegan Savanna, which I have visited, is protected. And as long as that land benefits us in Lake County, I wouldn't be really willing to entertain selling that land without a lot more discussion.
Thank you, candidate Winiarz. Thank you. This next question is from our student section. Candidate Winiarz, what do you specifically plan to do to help more with local businesses?
Can you repeat that?
Yes. What do you specifically plan to do to help more with local businesses?
So local businesses are the foundation of small communities like ours. I would love to look into how to provide some kind of help for them so that they can hire more people, so that more people can not just work here in Lake County, but live in Lake County because they're working at those small businesses. I think that if you are working here, you should be able to live here. You shouldn't have to have a very, very high-paying job in order to stay here. Small businesses should be able to get some sort of help to provide for their employees, to provide benefits that will help them, salaries that will allow them a living wage so that they can live here while they work here, and that just really reduces all kinds of challenges. It reduces our footprints because our commutes are shorter, and they can spend more time with their families. So the things that I would do to help small businesses is look for ways to enhance their ability to pay people to work there, and also to bring in more clients, more customers, because when people are attending small businesses, patronizing them, they're spending money here. They're paying taxes here, they become taxpayers. And that just lifts up the entire county and the entire community. So that's what I would do.
Thank you, candidate Winiarz. Candidate Schlick, what do you specifically plan to do to help more with local businesses?
Thank you for the question. I think when you look at local businesses, the best thing government can do to help them is to streamline our processes. Whenever they have to come into the county and deal with us, whether it's one of our departments like the health department, for example, we can't make the administrative hurdles too burdensome. We have to have it clearly explained, a clear path to how we get there, and be a guiding light to how they can achieve what they're trying to do. I think that also goes in the building department. When we have somebody trying to build their business, they're trying to build out, get permits, get zoning, we can't have too many rules and regulations that are just not explained clearly and not shown how they're going to work through this. I think sometimes in government, our employees, we have a lot of wonderful employees. They're hardworking, but they live and breathe this every day. So sometimes they can get a little like, oh, this is second nature to me. But in the business community, they may not deal with this. And then the last thing is I'd love to have a conversation with our county treasurer, Holly Kim, about we're going to tax, property taxes. Not until property tax breaks, but if we have seasonal businesses paying their property taxes, maybe in a more broken up fashion. During COVID, we went to 4 payments of property taxes, and we heard that was very popular. But once COVID kind of stopped, we went right back to biannual, 2 times annual. I'd like to kind of look into that to see if that's something that maybe we can collect property tax on a quarterly basis that may be able to help small business owners and homeowners. Who, if you're a business owner, odds are you probably own a home or somehow impacted by property tax. So thank you.
Thank you, candidate Schlick. So now we'll come back to you from another question from the audience, which states, would you recommend a statutory requirement to show unfunded debt in the budget?
That is an outstanding question. Yes, I would. I think we can do a lot of accounting tricks when you start looking at government budgets, how they hide debt, how they hide, unfunded mandates, and how they hide unrealized liabilities. I think it gets into the real weeds, and accountants are very good at it. But I think we should be 100% transparent in our budgets to show people, hey, this is how much we have in assets, show our complete balance sheet. These are our assets, these are our liabilities, and I think I would support any type of legislation that came down, as long as it wasn't too onerous and very, when you start getting into statutes and and things like that. You got to watch how they're formed to make sure there's no unfunded mandate in there. It's going to put a lot of money on that local unit of government. So I would be supportive in the nature of it, but I'd be really interested to see what the actual bill would look like. So thank you.
Thank you, candidate Schlick. Candidate Winiarz, would you recommend a statutory requirement to show unfunded debt in the budget?
When Adam talks about transparency, I am very proud of the transparency that we have on the board. Everything that they do in the budget is, you can find. You can see where every single penny is being spent. That budget is out there. The meetings, not just the regular board meetings, but the budget meetings. Anything talking about the fiscal activities, they are they're all discussed in committees. And all of that is recorded. You can watch it live. You can attend it. You can comment on it live. You can watch it after the fact. They're even closed captioned. You couldn't get more transparent. I would not be excited about having anything that was hidden or not able to be seen. Transparency is really important so people understand exactly where their money is going. And so when we talk about transparency and how to utilize some of the money, another thing that's really great about our budget is we are able to roll over some of the money that is not used in the previous fiscal year and roll it over to the next one, which is a good creative way of funding our budget for the next year. So when it comes to showing how exactly we're spending our money, I am all for making sure that that is known at the highest levels all the way down to the smallest.
Thank you, Candidate Winiarz. Thank you. Candidate Winiarz, what is your position on the Waukegan Airport expansion? Do you think this is a necessary project to invest resources towards?
So, the Waukegan Airport, they really do need some help with their runway. I have visited the airport. I have seen the runway. I have gone to the Waukegan Savannah, which is the exact forest preserve that will be impacted. It's huge. It's not one that you can go have a picnic in. It's more of a preserved prairie land, natural grasses and that sort of thing, which are just as important for many reasons, including stormwater management. So again, I'm really glad that the Port Authority is working with the Forest Preserve Board. They're working together. There is, however, and again, conceptually, good arguments on both sides. Yeah, there's reasons to sell those 52 acres, but at the same time, that's forest preserve. There's a reason that it is preserved. And it's not just because it's pretty or it's beautiful. It helps with a lot, including, like I said, stormwater management, flooding, huge. And that's not something you just tend to know unless you've looked at it. We're quite a ways off. Again, we need an environmental study. The one that's already been done is old already. We need a current one. And I need to, I don't want to look at an outdated study. I want to look at a current one. So I need to evaluate that and really get a good sense of exactly what that environmental impact would be. Look at those results. And as long as Lake County benefits from that, I'm not willing to sell that land. I will listen to my constituents and I will consider that in my vote.
Thank you, Candidate Winiarz. Candidate Schlick, what is your position on the Waukegan Airport expansion? Do you think this is a necessary project to invest resources towards?
Thank you for the question. So when I took office 2 years ago, I was told on day one, hey, this Waukegan Airport's, we're going to take a vote on this right away. A lot of promises were made, a lot of discussions were had about it. I saw what the Port Authority was saying. They do have a very small runway. We do have quite a large amount of businesses here that utilize that runway. This is it's a public airport, but it's more utilized by business more than anything else. So I saw the need. I just wasn't sure about the concept and the plan. It seemed to me to be, maybe we took the path of least resistance with the 52 acres, we being the Port Authority and the Forest Preserve. And I think it deserves some more study. And like Mr. Winiarz said, there was a very high level impact study about what it was going to do to the environment and the native species in that. And it wasn't really clear, and it needs to be more drilled down. So as of right now, I'm not a supporter of moving forward with the plan as proposed. I think it's got to be fine-tuned. I think the Port Authority has to be a better partner than they have been. I think they start off with a lot of promises and then they tail off. For me, I've seen that in government. You can't trust organizations that can't hold their word and deliver stuff on time. So if the Port Authority can bring to us a comprehensive plan, more study about what the impact is going to be, I would consider it. But as of right now, I'm a pretty hard no on expansion of Waukegan Airport.
Thank you, candidate Schlick. Our next question comes from the audience, and it states, how would you ensure the repair of roads?
Thank you very much. So I'm very proud of the robust roads program we have in Lake County. I would love to tell you that it is as robust as it probably could be, but there is a dollar and cents amount that you have to keep it to stay on budget. I think at the county we have a very good plan. We're not, to kind of go to my first responder days, we're not putting out fires. We're making plans. We're fixing roads before they become a problem. We're finding areas where there's bottlenecks. Just outside of our district, there's a railroad crossing at Old McHenry Road that is a tremendous bottleneck of cars. The county has realized it. We've started the process and the plan to make it become a realization that we're going to do an at-grade change so we can get underneath the road. Similar to what they did to Rollins Road over here several years ago, just to eliminate that bottleneck. I know a lot of you probably weren't driving when Rollins was a railroad crossing, but it was a nightmare to get through. So I like the condition of our roads. I like the plan we have in place. I have a tremendous amount of confidence in Shane Snyder, who's our Director of Department of Transportation, and his staff of engineers. They bring forth a lot of good projects to us, and it's something that has to be monitored, and I think you always have to have a 5, 7, 10-year plan with roads to make sure you're staying on track. So I look forward to, if you ever see a road in the county that you think needs to get repaired, send an email to your representative. That's the best way to get through, because we have a direct line to staff to be able to talk to them. Thank you.
At this time, we will be taking our 5-minute break due to the bell being about to ring. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, 7-minute break.
All right. You're going to hear the bell ring in 2 minutes. And so rather than interrupt our next candidate, we'll just pause now.